Eagles were the better team. I can't say it any other way.
I don't really think everybody knows what they're about to witness.
I know talent when I see one. I should be an NFL scout.
Jonathan, I don't like that pick.
I love that pick.
What's up, everybody? This is Dorm Debate Podcast. Thank you so much for joining in. My voice is a little different today if you're expecting Jared. This is Caleb speaking. Jared is off in the mountains in the forest, finding himself doing something of the sort. We don't really know. But we miss him dearly.
I hope he's all right.
He should be back for next episode. Don't worry. But today we have me, John, and Jonathan discussing some of the games from today's NFL. And we're going to start off going into the 49ers. The 49ers and the Eagles both will go into. Two undefeated teams lost, guys. John, how did you feel about the Browns being able to take down the 49ers without Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, something super unexpected. Now, the Browns did have a bye last week to prepare, but I need to throw this over to Jonathan because, Jonathan, you must be feeling really good right now. You don't like Purdy, you don't like Hurts, and guess what? They both lost. So how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, for the 49ers, oh, how the turntables. I've known this was going to happen.
Dude, Debo and McCaffrey got hurt.
That's what we've been saying. He's in a system. He's had those best players, and that's why he's been successful. And look what happens when they're gone. This guy struggles. He's not.
Yeah, but everybody's going to struggle when they lose their top two guys.
It was his worst game. But
if Dak lost CD and Pollard, what do you think would happen?
Well, the 49ers have a stronger team in terms of Ayuk, Kittle. They have a stronger O-line. Anybody should be able to run that ball. Okay?
Fair point.
And he gets decent protection. Purdy does. So you saw all these star players out, like just two, really. Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. And then he struggled. 12 of 27, 125 yards. I mean, a touchdown and then an interception. Yeah, that's an issue. So he needs at least one of those guys to be able to run this ship. And we finally saw what me and Jared have been saying for weeks. This guy is overrated. The reason why people are praising him, the reason why he's good, and the reason why they've been undefeated is because of all that star power with Christian McCaffrey, with Debo. They have Kittle as well. Kittle was okay. Then they have a pretty good defense as well. But guys, I think I said this last podcast. The Browns match well with the 49ers in terms of physicality. The reason why 49ers have been undefeated is because all the teams they've faced, 49ers have just been more physical in the trenches in terms of the defensive front and offensive front. Now they finally met their match in this game. The Browns, I knew the Browns were physical. I mean, they're really a running team, a smash-mouth team. And so the Browns gave it to him. Myles Garrett wasn't playing. And Myles Garrett scares a lot of quarterbacks. Brock Purdy was scared. Okay. He was freaking out. This guy is good. And so that, along with the great offensive line, they're running the ball really well. That's why I gave P.J. Walker, right? It gave him more confidence. It released some pressure from him because the offensive line was, able to give the running back some good room to run the ball with Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford. So great game plan by the Browns. They almost did something stupid at the end. Kevin Stefanski, I don't know if you guys saw, but they try to, run it like when they're on the 10-yard line. Or no, they try to pass it when they're on the 10-yard line. It was like 3rd and 8 or something. And P.J. Walker almost threw an interception. Somebody tipped it. So they almost did something stupid at the end. But overall, they executed. That was a great game plan. And yes, the injuries made a difference, but this is a true property.
But everybody knows that if McCaffrey, Debo, you take him out, that's fine. But if McCaffrey was there, they would have won.
It would have been tougher to stop. But it would have been tougher to stop. But a running back doesn't really make the team. This offensive line, they had the same offensive line. None of them got hurt. Trent Williams is their best guy. They should be able to put anybody back there. Trent Williams got hurt?
Yeah.
I think he actually did.
That makes a big difference.
So that's their best offensive line.
It was towards the end of the game when things were already, but that does play a factor, right? We talked about this on, I think, literally Tuesday. I think me and Jonathan. I don't hate Purdy the way you and Jared do, Jonathan, but we definitely literally said, I mean, for me, it's more like, I think, John, you just alluded to it as well. Like McCaffrey is like that star. They've had pieces that were great. I mean, Debo, Ayuk been there for a while. They had, I think, Mostert last year, but McCaffrey was like that star, like that fairy dust, that special spark that was getting that offense going. And again, I we like McCaffrey, but we know his career has had some injuries, and when me and Jonathan said this, we really hope he doesn't get hurt. But what will Brock Purdy be like if he's not there? I mean, and like John, you said, for any quarterback that is tough. But that team definitely needs that. They lost that kind of spark when they lost McCaffrey. So but Jonathan, do you give any credit to Brock Purdy for? I mean, I don't know if you saw the end of the game, but he did get into field goal range. Like, it was a fourth quarter drive. Get the team at least there. Do you think,
dude? Yeah, Moody missed 2 field goals. Mm-hmm. Not only the one at the end of the game, but he missed a 54-yarder earlier, and that's the best kicker in college football from Michigan. And if Jared was here, he would defend him, but he did miss 2 kicks. That's not Purdy's fault. What is he supposed to do? He loses 3 of his best players on offense and still gets him into field goal range twice.
I'll tell you what he's supposed to do. What? He completed 12 of 27. That's not even half of his throws. So how about he should complete more?
Just throw him to Ray McLeod. The guy can't catch.
He had Ayuk. He had Kittle. The Kittle just throws to Kittle every time. Nobody can tackle him. Everybody knows that. And so,
Kittle had 1 catch for 1 yard. Wow. I think that's a Shanahan issue. I don't know why he didn't call plays for him.
They use him for blocking a lot. He's a great pass blocker, and a run blocker. So I
know they missed 2 field goals, but don't put it in the hands of the kicker. We all know that it can go either way, right? And so that's why you want to actually play the good game and win the game. And so yes, the kicker missed 2 field goals, but Brock Purdy didn't complete half his passes, and so that's a huge issue. So Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, I don't know what's going on with them. We have to check the reports in terms of their scanning and all that. But hey, if they don't come back, Brock Purdy's in trouble. And me and Jared have been saying it. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Oh, come on.
He's been overrated. And we've been saying that. And so we finally saw the truth. These scouts aren't stupid. There's a reason why he was the very last pick. He was the very last pick in the draft.
No, I think the scouts were wrong on this.
I think I'm definitely more in the middle. Like John, you said, you can't put any Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, in that. As we said, it's a great quarterback. It's a quarterback friendly offense, but you can't put any backup in that position and win as many games as he has. I'm just indifferent. I think if McCaffrey's out specifically next game, and I hope not, because I want him to be healthy all week. Injuries are the worst part of the game. Mm-hmm. If he's out, I think that'll be the first data entry for me to see what Brock Purdy's made of, because I think that'll be I don't know how many games he's played with McCaffrey there. I don't think every game, but that'll be the part that'll kind of sell me a little more. I'm kind of indifferent, like I texted you guys, but at least I said this in the group chat, but I was like, at least they'll have to get rid of every game he played. They were saying, oh, he's X amount, 19-0 in games he starts and finishes, and it's I don't know, whatever the number is. They would just not stop bringing that number up. So I'm an indifferent observer, but I'm happy they have to at least stop saying the same thing every game. Now it's going to be what? Like Brock Purdy's X and O, X many wins, no losses if he starts, finishes, and if McCaffrey and Deebo start and finishes. I'm not even a 49ers hater. It's just they won't be able to go to that stat anymore. So I think that's for the NFL, that's good. It's
kind of good, yes.
But John, does this change your opinion on Purdy? I mean, he did get into field goal range, but 12 with 27, is it? That's it.
No, I mean, it's his first bad game, so I'm not really that worried. It's going to be interesting to see, but I still have confidence in him. They play the Vikings next week. They're in Minnesota, but they're going to win that game whether McCaffrey and Deebo are there or not. I mean, the defense will play well. Jordan Mason, Elijah Mitchell will step up for the run game, so I'm not really worried. I think it's all going to come down to the health. We all know that. Yes, I agree. Purdy does need McCaffrey. So if McCaffrey's not there, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. But we'll see. It's still a long season, so it didn't look like his injury was that bad. He jogged off. So,
well, not to always bring up the Cowboys, but do you guys remember how many games Dak Prescott would win if Zeke was playing? Like that correlation. Yep. So I wonder if you'll see something similar with Purdy. But we'll get to see.
I remember that contract I put up on our fridge.
This was years ago. Man, yeah, no. So I think it'll be. I'm still on the fence about Purdy. I'm largely indifferent, but I'm still. I mean, I was watching the game. I'm like, this is a moment for him. This is where legends are made, and it's a shame that the kicker didn't get it, but. I don't know how much of you guys saw, but some of it was the play calling too. Why would it was 3 minutes left on the clock and the 49ers run 3 pass plays and they're like incomplete. It stops the clock.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
They could have even without the incompletions from Purdy, they could have just ran the ball, get 0 yards every time, and put themselves in a better position. Like
sometimes they're too aggressive. Some of these coaches.
Yeah, well, but like you're saying, they don't. What are they thinking? They don't have McCaffrey and Debo. At least run the ball with your backup, and that's how tell them the LBR one, just protect the ball, whatever it is, cover the ball. But yeah, I don't know. I do question some of that play calling there, where maybe they were shocked as well to see how good the Browns matched up. I didn't know. I was telling John this before, but I didn't know the Browns were the number 1 statistical defense, I believe, in the NFL as of I think entering this week. So definitely got to see that. And any thoughts for you guys about like Watson not playing? Because who would have thought without Watson they would have still won? It's still the defense definitely played a huge role, but is Watson that much of an improvement? I mean, Walker definitely had some more rust than Watson has shown in previous games, but Watson's usually a little better, but is it for how much they're paying him? I didn't see much of a difference with that Browns team. I wouldn't have known they were the number 1 defense from how dull those games have largely been.
Yeah. Usually if you can run the ball as a team, then that helps open the pass game a little bit more, and so I think that's what you saw today. They were running the ball really well, and because of that, they were able to get some play actions. There's a lot of open space for PJ Walker to make plays. You do have to look at that and say, hey, would Deshaun Watson do this? I think if Deshaun Watson played, maybe the score would have been a little higher, but that was a great win by PJ Walker, just executing on the plays the coaches call him. And we saw Baker Mayfield be pretty successful in this sort of system as well. He can run the ball on any team.
He had 2 interceptions. He had no touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
He had turnovers, so that's bad. Yeah.
But it kind of reminds me of last year when Dak got hurt and Cooper Rush came in for a couple games, and it's happened in years past. But when that happens and your backup comes in, and then they have a bye week to prepare, it's like the defense knows they've got to play well. And they're like, all right, let's run the ball a lot, play good defense. Quarterback, even if he makes a couple mistakes, couple picks, we're still going to play good defense and run the ball. So it's kind of that like vibe around the team that like, okay, our backup's playing. Not that he sucks, we believe in him, but we really got to play good defense. And we saw that when Cooper Rush was in, they would still win games because the Cowboys defense would play really well. They'd run the ball with Zeke and Pollard. And then we're like, maybe Dak isn't that important, but maybe this Cowboys team, with running the ball and good defense is better. But at the end of the day, I think the team's still better with Deshaun.
Yeah, you guys know I love to root against the Browns, but the 49ers were my lock, and it would have been a much better day for me had the 49ers lost and the Eagles won. But fate turned the other way for me, as for those listening, I am an Eagles fan, and we can transition to the Eagles now. Curious how you guys think. A very similar, another undefeated team going up against a great defense, and Eagles lost just about less than an hour ago to the Jets. Now, I will say it definitely hurt. I flashed back to the moment Jalen Hurts, Eagles were up. We're hoping to run the clock out, and he threw a pick and led to the Jets scoring and definitely turned the tables on the Eagles. But in that moment, I flashed back to Jared and Jonathan, you guys specifically, a couple of podcasts ago, was talking about some of the passes not being there for Hurts. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but definitely it was a tough as an Eagles fan to watch that blunder at the end. The Eagles blundered and gave it up. Well, part of it though is I'm amazed the Jets didn't have the football IQ to not score. They could have definitely sealed it, because they got up by a touchdown, and the Eagles basically the Eagles let them score a full touchdown rather than try to go for the field goal. And I'm surprised the Jets didn't see that coming.
I still agree with that, though. Because, we just saw with the 49ers kicker, Moody, Zerline isn't, Jonathan knows, Zerline isn't the most reliable kicker. He can miss a 20-yarder, so I agree with Breece Hall getting in. But yeah, Caleb, you just said it. I mean, 3 interceptions for Hurts, and especially that last one, just a bad decision. There were 2 guys covering Goddard. It was just not going to get completed. But there was a series of unfortunate things. I'm not saying that the Eagles... I'm not making excuses for the Eagles. I think the Jets played a great game and deserved to win, but Hurts 3 interceptions. I mean, even Hurts' first touchdown, we didn't really even get a great angle that he actually got into the end zone, but they reviewed it, called it a touchdown. We saw Swift had a fumble. Devonta Smith dropped a couple passes. Oh my gosh. And A.J. Brown was making great plays, but Darius Slay was out, so they couldn't cover Garrett Wilson. It was a series of a lot of things, but everybody made mistakes. Hurts made mistakes, Devonta Smith, Swift. The defense obviously let Garrett Wilson get a lot of points. So it was a series of things, but the reality is that the Eagles got outplayed. I mean, it was in MetLife, and they weren't prepared for this great defense.
That's the key thing you just said, John. The defense. Now we know the Jets defense is probably, honestly, in my opinion, they're probably the best in the NFL, the Jets defense. Look at these, stats. Jalen Hurts, 28 of 45, 280 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions. Okay, that was against the Eagles. Okay, the Bills, 29 of 41 for Josh Allen, 236 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions as well. Okay, and then Patrick Mahomes, one of the greats, 18 of 30, 203 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions.
Wow.
So I'm not going to say Jalen Hurts.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. I'm not going to sit here and say Jalen Hurts, he's not good and all that. He's just played a great defense. He ran into a brick wall. And that's why it's annoying. If Aaron Rodgers was healthy, you have to wonder, would this be a Super Bowl caliber team? Like, it's frustrating. Yep. You're wasting this great defense. Nobody can really get past them. And their offense hasn't been clicking, most of the season. But for, in these big games, they get the job done. Zach Wilson gets the job done and is able to do the basic thing to get his team over the hump. And that's what you saw today. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but luckily, honestly, many teams are probably not going to see the Jets in the playoffs anyway. So it's just, it sucks.
Hey, you never know. They're talking about Rodgers potentially coming back.
Dude. Oh, yeah, he was warming up. You saw that? In the beginning.
How real is that? Or is that just
No,
him?
I think it is, but I think it's further on. I think it's like January.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
I mean, I don't think they'll be. They'd have to win a couple games. Do you guys still think Wilson can do it? I mean, that defense covers over a lot of. Part of what gutted me is they didn't put it in Wilson's hands. The Eagles blundered. That led the Jets to win. It wasn't like the plan would have been to punt it, run the clock, and force Wilson to drive the field. And that's not what happened. Now, it was still working closed, but.
But I think that's what the Jets exactly want. He went 19 of 33, 186 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They don't care. They'll be fine with him getting no touchdowns as long as he doesn't turn the ball over.
Exactly.
This team will have a chance to win. So honestly, I think they can. I mean, they have a bye next week. Then they play the Giants in week 8. That's a win. So it's like then in week 9, they play the Chargers at home. I think they could definitely win that. I mean, the Chargers' defense is bad, and this Jets team can string together some wins, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough though, because right now they're third in their division behind the Dolphins and Bills, and so there's a lot of other 3-3 teams like the Raiders, the Bengals are 3-3, Colts, Texans. So could they squeeze in a wild card? Like maybe, but it's gonna be really tough. It's gonna be really tough. It's possible. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I was going through the stages of grief when I was setting up this podcast. It was definitely, you guys, I have a couple of my buddies from Philly that we were texting, and it was definitely, we admit it was an ugly game, not the prettiest. Growing up playing football, even the best teams have games like that. I really like that stat you brought up, that it's not just Hurts. I know some of those passes that Hurts has made has been a couple, and then the one pick I think bounced out of the receiver's hands. It's like,
yeah, that's annoying.
It's going back to those interception stats and making excuses. I know, but I don't know. Seeing all these, both the 49ers and the Eagles lose undefeated teams to great defenses, it just goes back to that adage that defenses win championships. And the Jets also had their share of injuries are part of the game, and I think John, you mentioned it with Slay, but I think Blankenship, our safety, we had a lot of injuries in the secondary on top of that. Thankfully, I think it definitely hurt to have Lane Johnson was out of the game as well. So, but this is part of the game, and I think I certainly know it as an Eagles fan. It just sucks. I was hoping to be able to get one up over the 49ers, but that's not what happened. Yeah, I'm just numb.
Even another Jake Elliott missed a field goal. He usually doesn't miss. So it's like it was just everything.
It's a turf. It's got to be the
both
turf.
The 49ers and the Eagles. I could count for the 49ers. I could count McCaffrey hurt, Debo hurt, Trent Williams hurt, 2 missed field goals. That's 5 things right there. And then for the Eagles, Swift fumbled, Devonta Smith dropped pass, missed field goal, and then Hurts interceptions. It was like unfortunate things, but the reality is that the teams got outplayed. They deserve to lose. They don't deserve to be undefeated anymore. And like Jonathan said, these are great teams. And Jonathan, you said last week, it's just the NFL is too difficult to go undefeated. You just things will happen to where you just won't win a game, and you'll get humbled, and that's what the NFL is.
Yeah. And again, usually after those, especially after the Eagles loss, usually you have to worry about them in the future. I mean, obviously they're in the AFC, but like, I really don't think they're going to see them in the postseason anyway. So like, hey, it's just one of those losses. You got to take it and build from it and learn from it. And they're probably not going to face a better defense than that this season, the Eagles. So
yeah. Also, I mean, and you have a good point. Yeah, I mean, you guys have, like, probably not in the playoffs, the Jets, but if that defense is doing that much to Mahomes, Allen, Hurts of the world, it's like, I don't think it's almost, it would be a green. No, it's nothing. I mean, we're talking about injuries, but nothing like Aaron Rodgers getting hurt. It's all relative. But it almost makes you wonder. Like, you don't want to waste the year. Like John, you're saying, like, these guys aren't getting any younger. They have a defense that's been known to be good, but they might be able to get in the playoffs the way Wilson is without making any mistakes, being very conservative. But honestly, imagine if they had a quarterback that could get some touchdowns. Like, imagine.
Yeah, that's why I understand why Jets fans are so frustrated. I mean, it's just you look at the defense; it's so great, and then like you can't like usually in the season you can't really score some points, and so I can only imagine if Aaron Rodgers was here, then we'd be having a different conversation in terms of who knows. On top of the
who knows? Let's see. Do you guys want to talk about idea of the Bengals, Mac Jones? Any particular things about that
in terms of the Patriots? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I heard a lot of people say Bill Belichick's on the hot seat. I wouldn't put him on the hot seat. I just think they need a different quarterback.
Mac Jones experiment is over.
Yeah, you guys think about. Let's go into it about the Patriots because they lost to McDaniels.
But how about it? Yeah, lost to McDaniels. But not only that, Jacoby Myers scores a touchdown. Yeah. Jimmy G gets hurt, taken to the hospital for a back injury, and Brian Hoyer also had a revenge game, came in. I mean, dude, 4 different people on the Raiders used to be on the Patriots and won the game. So it was good for the Raiders. But yeah, Mac Jones, did you see the interception he had where he was rolling out to the right and Hunter Henry was open, like running to the sideline? And it's like one of those that's like not that difficult. You're both running at the same speed and you just got to hit him on the run and it sailed right way over his head and intercepted. So I
did not see it, but I felt like Mac Jones was on the hot seat because he got benched last week for a very poor performance.
Yeah.
I mean, he got benched like past couple weeks, but Bill Belichick has insisted that, hey, they were losing bad anyway, so we just want to rest him. Yeah, we all know it's baloney.
I guarantee that Mac Jones does not start week 8 against the Dolphins because they play the Bills next week. If Mac Jones starts that game, he's going to throw at least 2 picks probably.
Oh, yeah, at least.
You guys think he's that bad? Or what's happened to Mac Jones? He started off so strong, right?
But I mean, it's like you don't have any receivers, yes, which makes it difficult.
That's true.
But like, he's also just making a lot of mistakes. So Would you guys rather? I mean, I think I know Jonathan's answer, but Mac Jones or Zach Wilson, if you guys had to pick.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
Zach Wilson's
right
improved.
Now, Zach Wilson, I'd say.
I haven't seen Mac Jones improve over the past couple of years. Zach Wilson's at least he's improving a little bit, right?
True.
So,
or at least reducing risk with Wilson, like we were talking about with the Jets. Like if he can at least not throw picks, Well,
I also feel like Wilson has a better offense around him. I feel like he has a better line. I feel he definitely has better running back and better receivers.
Yeah.
So he does have more with him.
I think. Yeah, and I think for years, I mean, it's hard to compare apples to oranges, but it was kind of known for a couple of years. I mean, certainly there were errors with Moss, but like Brady had a habit of elevating the talent around him, unlike other quarterbacks, like where you could get what the league would consider, I don't want to call them chumps, but receivers that the league wouldn't really value highly, would perform extremely well with the Patriots with Brady at the helm. And now that you've taken Brady out, and then there was, I wonder if this adds any debate, kind of for me, the debate was five. If it was Brady and Belichick, how much it's always a bit of both, but I think it was more Brady. And for me, that argument was solidified. And I hate Brady, but it was solidified when he went to Tampa and won. It's obviously a team game. They had a great defense at the time, but now you're seeing, coaches don't play, and without a quarterback that Belichick can be able to bounce off of, but you're seeing how much of an outlier Tom Brady was that maybe covered over a lot of these inefficiencies that you're seeing with Mac Jones. So, yeah, you never wish to root against a guy or, against his job, but I'm the Patriots. I will say, wait, to finish that first thought, you don't want to root against him, but I do think the Mac Jones era might be coming to a close. I wouldn't say Belichick's on the hot seat. I have seen that as well about the offense being outdated and then not getting it. I mean, they don't have a quarterback nor weapons. I think one of the commentators was saying, like, who are you going to use? It's not like they have a weapon that's like an all-star receiver Hunter Henry in the past should have been much better, and I think he's been okay, but they don't have like a superstar like Adams on the Raiders where it's like you go to that guy, that's your go-to guy. Mm-hmm. Like, so that's part of it. But then I don't know how much could Belichick lose? Like, I think he's done so much for that organization that's like, how much could he luse before they even consider getting rid of him?
Right.
Like, but I will say, to go on my second thought, we should appreciate, as NFL fans. I mean, I'm an Eagles fan. You got a Cowboys fan, Giants fan, and I think the whole league should just be thankful that we're in a world and an era where the Patriots fans are humbled. You're not seeing them everywhere on social media. You're not seeing as many, bandwagon people for so many years. I mean, that was 20 years of the Patriots dynasty with Brady, and finally, there's it's like in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when the witch is gone and peace returns to the land. That's what it is for the rest of the NFL now that the Patriots fan base is seeing what it's like for the rest of the world, So I think that's it. I just wanted to point that out because I think it's a great thing. But I don't know. I mean, they have Zappy as the backup. Yep. So we were talking all this talk about like Kirk Cousins going to the Jets. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he'll go to the Patriots, but you wonder if they want Zappy or if they, are they going to tank for someone better?
Yeah, I think they put Malik Cunningham. He's the number 2 now, and I think Zappy's number 3. Or at least for this game, that's what they did. Yeah, that's what they did. So
he can run. He's a more mobile guy, isn't he, Cunningham?
Yeah, he's more mobile. Dual threat quarterback. I wonder
why because Belichick spoke really highly of. I mean, he speaks highly of Hurts. I think he's buttering him up, but he also had Cam Newton for a while, and I wonder if in Belichick's head, he really wants. He's never had that kind of quarterback. I think he wants like a mobile quarterback, Yeah. I think anyone would like Mahomes, but something. Yeah. It's like he sees Brady, was spoiled with Brady, but now he's like, if I can get Brady plus this, that's what I want, and it's like a little more mobile. I don't think Cunningham's it, but you could be surprised. No one saw this Purdy, so
yeah. But we always talk about the Patriots, and we don't know. Nobody can tell me like where's all the money going? Like who's making all the money on that roster? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and all the players
it can't be a 35-year-old Zeke and a 30-year-old Devontae Parker and stuff.
I wonder what. That's a good question because if they're not they have a solid defense, but if there's no superstars, where how much salary cap do they have? Salary cap space? As far as I remember, I don't know intimately, but I feel like they were kind of. I don't know if I'm thinking they were kind of money tight.
What is Belichick pocketing a lot?
I don't know what he's about because for years they didn't have to invest in such great. They would let great players walk and go to other teams and make bank at other teams, and they just fill the slot with the next guy up and be okay. It's very frustrating. But now you're seeing, a little bit of how much Brady did elevate it, and I hate to say it because I'm not a fan of him. But one final thought. Curious what you guys think. The Bengals are finally seem to get the engine was sputtering for many weeks, but they won. Chase didn't have a super great game. It was 17 to the Bengals, Seahawks 13. Do we feel like Zach Taylor's still on the hot seat? Do we feel Burrow's, have they gotten rid of the issues that were preventing them from succeeding?
Yeah, I think so. When you think about the Bengals, the whole first 3 games of the season, we were talking about Joe Burrow's calf. It was like the most important muscle in the world. But now it seems like it's behind him. Nobody's talking about it, and they just won another game, and they're 3-3 now. They're 1 game back of the division lead, and the Ravens, even though they won against the Titans, they don't look all that great after losing to the Steelers last week. So I still think that the Bengals are going to win the division. And yes, the offense did look a lot better, but I still am not fully convinced in this team this year because of the run game. Mixon, 12 carries for 38 yards, 3.2 yards per carry. That's absolutely terrible. You can't win games without a run game. You can't rely on Burrow every time. And yes, they have great receivers. We know Chase. We know Higgins came back. We know Boyd. He scored a touchdown. Yep. They've got, they've been using Irv Smith, Trenton Irwin as well. They like to use a lot of players in the receiving game, and they're all great, but you still need to get that run game going. It's still like shotgun and then draw play to Mixon. They never go under center. Mixon never gets a running start. The offensive line never creates holes for him. I haven't seen Mixon with like a 30-yard rush all year, and I actually watched the Bengals game. So that's where I'm concerned for the Bengals, but I still think that they're going to be good enough to win the division. The defense played a lot better. Even the Seahawks had a bye last week. They had 2 weeks to prepare for the Bengals, and they were only able to score 13 points. So that's pretty impressive for the Bengals. I still like them this year.
Yeah, and I agree, John. They're doing better than they were the past couple weeks, but I mean, and we've seen some improvement. But the rushing yards, only 46 rushing yards in this game against the Seahawks. Yeah, that's a huge issue. Anytime you rush less than 100 yards and yet less than 50 yards, that's sad. And so, yes, Joe Burrow's looking better in terms of his calf and everything, but if they can't run the football, they're not going to win games. And so they're right now the third in the division, with the Browns and then the Ravens in there. It's going to be tough for them to win the division. They may be able to squeeze a wild card, but they're going to have to improve the run game. I agree with John. So I don't know if they have to sign somebody else, or I don't know. I guess maybe it's just the offensive line, and they can't run the ball that well. So I don't see them. I don't see them as a threat yet in terms of deep rounds in the playoffs. Maybe they'll squeeze a playoff berth from wild card.
I think you put it really well just then, Jonathan, because I didn't know quite how I feel. I mean, you definitely we say this for the past few years. Like they start off really sloppy, but then they do improve and start winning games. But like you said, I don't know if I trust them or consider them a true threat until even if they start getting the engine going offensively. Like Burrow still took a couple sacks, still got hit, and if they can't run the ball, it closes the playbook up a little bit, and defenses can start worrying about other things because they know that you're not going to be running it as much. So you add that too. I don't know if it's Mixon enough. I do see some of that more hustle than I've seen from Mixon in terms of trying, but I think it's just the offensive line not being as great at run blocking the way they are at pass blocking, and even then they're still getting the Burrow. So, he had an injury with calf, but how many hits can he take down the line a couple weeks into the season? Like can they win games? Yes. I wouldn't say. I think they could probably get a wild card, assuming they don't revert back to old ways. Because we talked about it in the first few weeks. Like there is a cost when every year you're starting off so sloppy. Like it's going to come back to bite you, and we don't know how, but it might. And I think the Bengals gotta sort out that run game. At least run it. It reminds me a little bit of the Rams. I think the Super Bowl against Tampa. Like they're so pass heavy, and they just give up on the run, and it closes. So that way, then it goes back to the year after, I think, or 2 years after the Rams were back in the Super Bowl. They would just keep running it nonstop, even if it was getting 1 yard, 2 yard, but just to keep the defense aware, like, oh, they might actually run it, even if it's just 2 yards. And it seems like the Bengals offensively just get away from the run. It's like they might throw one in there, just oh, we haven't run in a while, let's do it, but not as a schematic. And I think that adds a lot of pressure to Burrow, and they do use the receivers well, but you'll see them, I think, get exposed if they can't protect Burrow and they can't run the ball. This is like a team that can win games, but are they a threat? I wouldn't say quite yet. So I definitely like to see them run more. I don't even have Mixon in fantasy, but I think that's they should be one of the funnest games. I like to watch the Bengals, but they should be more fun to watch than they have been. Like they did win against the Seahawks. Seahawks are legit. I definitely think they're legit, but it was a close. 13-19 is not. The win's a win, but it's not a huge difference either with the power they have.
17.
17-13, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, the Seahawks did have way more yards than them, 381 versus the Bengals 214. So yeah. I mean, they did play a better game. It's just like Bengals were able to get that win.
Sometimes the ball bouncing. I did see a tweet by I think Shannon Sharp about some of the. I didn't watch the whole Seahawks Bengals game, but he did make a tweet about like some of the coaching decisions on the Seahawks that just kind of baffled him. And it seemed like the 49ers asked, because like, why are you doing this to put your team, why not just go for something like that.
Yeah, because they went for it on fourth down a couple times close to the end zone.
Yeah, and he brought up like, I mean, you hate to bring it up, but Pete Carroll sometimes just overthinks some of the simplest things. It seems like, and he's a phenomenal coach. Don't get me wrong, but I saw that tweet and I was
Marshawn
like,
Lynch, just give him the ball, and we don't have to talk about Tom Brady like that.
Yeah, Kenny Walker did well, but. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't say. I mean, I think it's definitely a statement to beat the Seahawks. They're not chumps, they're doing well with Geno and stuff. But yeah, I like the way you put it, Jonathan, that they're not quite a threat. But yeah, I think it's more the offensive line. I mean, we're talking about the run game, but it's tied to the run blocking of the offensive line. And I think Mixon's the guy they could do it with, but no, not yet. But we'll see as the weeks go on. Still, entering week 7. I believe this was week 6 today, the games. But a lot of football to be played left. But that AFC division and a lot of the AFC teams are very mid's not the right word, but they're like the ratios are very even. So it's still very open for a lot of teams. So we'll see as the weeks unfold. But yeah, I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for participating, John and Jonathan. Jared, I hope you're surviving, doing well in the wilderness. We miss you. Those listening, you should be back with us for the Thursday pod. Otherwise, subscribe, leave a like. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.